Nebraska Extension has released results from its survey on the Xtend soybean technology and Dicamba injury during the 2017 growing season. The survey compiled answers from 312 active farmers on more than 190,000 acres in 60 Nebraska counties. The results indicate producers believe damage occurred not only from Dicamba applications in soybeans, but also in corn. Growers also said they intend to significantly increase their use of Dicamba-tolerant soybeans in 2018. Nebraska Extension's Rodrigo Werle joined us recently to outline the survey's findings.
So according to the survey responses, Jeff, the acres that was represented in our survey, there 20% of them were planted with Xtend soybeans. And from those Xtend soybean acres, about 80% got a post-emergence application of Dicamba.
Tell me what you learned about the injury issues in 2017 from your survey.
We asked our producers overall whether they observed injury. About half of them did notice some injury on their non-Xtend soybeans. I then asked them the acreage that was damaged, and that number was about 13%. So according to the survey there, again, about 13% of the non-Xtend soybean acres were injured.
And where did they think that injury came from?
So that's a good question. We asked whether they thought, the problem or the off-target movement came from application in Xtend soybeans or other crops. About 2/3 of the producers believe that came from applications in Xtend soybeans, but about 1/3 of them believe it came from late applications in corn. So we got to be mindful when spraying not only Xtend soybeans, but also corn. I think some of the weed issues we've experienced in the state, particularly Palmer Amaranth, has pushed, producers to spray, particularly in corn, Dicamba a little later. So when taking that route, you got to be mindful of sensitive crops around you.
Of the growers that said they used Dicamba last year, how many said they had problems with it?
So the producers that sprayed it, about 20% of them said that they did have some off-target movement to sensitive soybeans or non-Xtend soybeans.
And tell me about the details of what they were spraying exactly.
So we asked all those producers now, Jeff, across the board, those who adopted the Xtend technology, we asked them what was the pattern of use of Dicamba, and about 60% of our producers are using that adopted the technology this year. We're using Dicamba alone or Dicamba with glyphosate post-emergence. So what we're doing here, we're trying to manage glyphosate-resistant weeds with Dicamba alone, and I think that's an important message to our producers out there, that we're going to be putting a lot of selection pressure on Dicamba, and if we continue to do that in the years to come, we're not only going to have glyphosate-resistant weeds, but we're very likely to select for Dicamba resistance, and that's going to complicate weed management.
You also asked your growers about next year, what they plan to do. First of all, tell me how many acres you expect to see next year in Dicamba-tolerant soybeans from your survey.
Yeah, so this year they reported 20%. Next year they're saying about 50% of their acres. So that area of, Xtend soybean is likely going to double to next growing season. And then I asked them, what percentage of their acres they expect to spray next year. So we had 80% in 17. In 2018, they expect to treat about 90% of that acreage. So not only we're going to increase the acres of Xtend beans, but we're also going to significantly increase the acres that are going to be receiving Dicamba there.
After the survey, the challenges that you saw and the results that you're looking at here, where does it leave us for 2018, do you think?
Okay, so I asked, one of the questions that I asked on the survey is, for those who adopted the technology, whether they were satisfied with the level of weed control, and more than 90% were very pleased. So they obtained really good weed control. So this technology has tremendous potential. However, a good number of producers had some issues when they sprayed it. So that's one problem. And the other thing, a good amount of our producers are only using Dicamba or Dicamba plus glyphosate. So the way I see this for next year, tank mixes, use multiple effective modes of action, so we maintain the life cycle of this technology and be paid really close attention to the label and the requirements for spraying this pesticide. Again, we're going to have an increase in these acreages and the acres treated with Dicamba, so we got to be really mindful of sensitive crops when spraying, so we keep the pesticide where it's supposed to be. And the last thing here, Jeff, I would encourage our producers to use this pesticide a little earlier on the season. It's a really great tool for a burn down or for an early post application. However, those who tried to use it late post, those were the folks that had a little more issues with off-target movement. And not only that, when they were spraying in July or the late post, those weeds were, a foot to 2 foot tall. And that's not what we want to see out there. So those were basically my main recommendations there for producers that are willing or that are going to be using the technology next year.